there is no place in Hell Let Loose like the official Discord or the Reddit or just some of the crazy ideas that come out of some of the fans, some of the guys that maybe not like the game. And, we kind of, some of these are maybe just grumbles, other ones are straight into conspiracy theories. And we're going to go ahead and use this episode to dive into a little bit of those, maybe have a little fun with them, have some humor, see if any have any truth. But before we do that, we're going to talk a little bit about patch 16, the competitive scene update, which is in full swing. And all this and more on episode 19 of Hell Let's Talk. And we are back. So
we're back. So I've got a UFO on my screen. He's got the Illuminati. We're here to talk conspiracy theories with Hell Let Loose. A lot of these are coming from the public, such as yourselves here watching the show. And there's some squirrely ones in there, but I think we're going to have a really action-packed show with a lot of content to unwind. I'm looking forward to it. How you been?
Well, I've been good. I've been having we're out of summer now. Football's back in season, or American football for Europeans. I know, not soccer. But doing good that. Temperature's starting to cool down. Things heating up, though, with the comp scene. You got the 18 just finished up. We'll get into that. But, dude, I'm excited because we're bringing back Mosca. It's been way too long since we had Mosca here.
It's our favorite Spaniard.
Dude, and it was like, he's like, hey, we need to have you back on. He's like, I've got a cartoon in mind. Which one you want? One or two? So we're going to see which one he has. And then it'll be unleashed on the Reddit and community out there. But let's go ahead and just dive right into it.
Well, before we do, I got to say, welcome any PS5 beta players we might have in the audience, or we'll follow up on this on YouTube. Welcome to the game of Hell Let Loose. We don't play PS5. We're strictly talking game, not going to do the console breakdowns here.
Yeah. I was going to say, I bought a PlayStation 5, but I think that's
really
like Madden and whatnot. It's coming, it's shipping.
I will destroy you in Madden, just so you know. I might have to get Madden
podcast. No, but yeah, so we'll see. I don't know if I'm going to pick it up. I kind of feel like dirty as if I go from like a PC to a console. I don't know.
You'd bring too much stability to that group. I tell you that much.
But it is. You're right. We do got a lot wider base now coming in. You've seen some feedback on Reddit, so let's not forget them. Let's actually make them our toast, Digi. To the console players, may your aim assist be true.
Ooh, this already hitting it pretty hard. Well, anyways, let's get into it. You've got some patch 16 update notes for us here. It was the latest and greatest. It went live on September 14th. What did it cover?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that in the last episode. So I just want to make sure if you didn't catch the last episode, you're getting some of the major highlights. I think one of the big ones that's going to help a lot of new players and just kind of take over quality of life is that the in-game map and the compass are now aligned. So before the map was aligned to just what made best for the user interface, and then your compass in game was true to the orientation of the map in real life. That got really funky on maps like Omaha. I was trying to think of some of the other ones that are a little skewed from that nature. So that now you don't even have to say map north or compass north. Now north will be north regardless of where you're looking. So,
up is up, down is down. They try to simplify that for a lot of the newer people coming in here. I never had issue. I don't know about yourself, but map north was always the slang you would just use. Just go up, like you reference it.
Yeah,
up from me, better. Down from me.
I mean, I was just happy when someone said that, not like they're over there. Where's there? To my left. I don't know where the fuck you're at.
Ping.
Indeed. What was it? We had Stalingrad. Got some love.
Did have some love on Stalingrad. They did an optimization pass. We still had some information. It's coming back a little bit like Stuttergrad. I don't know if they're going to do further refinements, but it is smoother and sleeker than it ever was before. So we're just seeing those revamps through all those new materials and maps come through. Hopefully that makes it a little bit nicer on most systems at this point.
But it's not perfected yet. And did you actually found this out there. This was on Reddit, I want to say, that he looked
Yeah,
at.
it was posted a couple weeks back. You could see the really ups and downs, like the highs are high and the downs are downs, and it's not really just a buttery smooth like line across. It's really jittery. So I think it's better than it was. I still haven't figured out that map or how to play it effectively amongst the rubble. But again, a smoother performance is only going to make me enjoy trying to learn that map a little bit more. Every time it comes up, I'm a little hesitant to be eager to play on it. But we're getting there.
If you go back to when Karantan first came out, they had a lot of issues with Karantan. In fact, there was a lot of competition to just ban that map because of the performance issues.
Yeah.
And now it's improved to the point now where you're seeing it in competitive play. I think more people are having stability on that. Stalingrad will get there. My issue with Stalingrad is I don't like the gameplay on it that much. I was going to say...
it's different. It's different.
Yeah, and it's depressing. I was going to say, when you go from the European campaign, it's green, it's these lush fields. Even Purple Heart Lane isn't that depressing as like Stalingrad. And I love
it's raining and overcast. You're bound to die a lot. So I don't know what kind of Purple Heart Lane you're playing, but yeah.
I love that the artistic and what Tony or Danny Art and Gretz have been able to do. But I'm just like, dude, I don't want to be that depressed playing a video game. I get that still war and death, but whatever. So that's Stalingrad. Probably one of the big things, and you're going to hear this. This is going to be one of those HL myths that is going on when people come back to the game. If you get knocked down near an enemy garrison, you will no longer knock it by being incapacitated.
Huge.
Yeah,
I mean that was the play. I think we've done it numerous times. You've done it to me fucking numerous times. What's happening when you see that red lockup icon on every garrison. You're like, who's got a grenade? But no more is what you're saying. So that'll be a big change. I had to correct somebody yesterday playing games that's no longer a thing. So it's still going to make its rounds, and more people become cognizant of like these little updates as well.
Yeah, and I think it was a weird thing to have in the game in the first place. That you don't apply cap pressure when you're incapacitated, but you can deny enemy spawns. And then you're right. There was the experienced players trying to find one guy that has a grenade, especially when you're a commander, and you're like, I can't just smoke his head. Like somebody come over here and nade this body.
That's against the Geneva Convention. But yes, no longer are you valuable in death. It's just hold that F screen because we don't wait for medics. Not yet. Yeah. That is a big update, small notice, and players will catch on eventually to that.
German tankers are going to notice that Americans have been reduced down to 2 rockets. German infantry will notice that the bulletproof American glass on support and transport trucks is no longer bulletproof. That was something that kind of just creeped in with update 10, and then
my goodness, that was chaos. Why isn't he dying? You're just putting a whole round. You still can pull up a tank or blow up a truck with an MG, but oh my god, was it ever frustrating getting run over by US truckers. And I got a big thrill out of it, but that had to be fixed because to my knowledge there was no bulletproof glass on those trucks in reality. I love
feeling like I was in the Pope Mobile, just driving around the battlefield, just waving at people. You can't shoot me. Anyway. And then I was gonna say, so we got this update, which we talked about on the last show, that even it seemed like a long time coming, but this actually came with some concrete stuff also. We've talked about doing more smaller, frequent updates. What's your take on kind of the delay, the content in this overall?
The delay was around 49 days from when the game went live. So, it took a bit of time to implement it. Usually it's just boom, that Friday, we got a hot fix, fixing those minor things. So it took a little bit of time. Maybe they had some review period. They really tried to grab more in on this and not just change the little bits that they could do in a couple days. But the player base, they requested more frequent, smaller changes. And I guess they're listening to that feedback, but I don't think so with the 49 days in between. The patch itself wasn't really needed because so much time in the PTE, you'd think you wouldn't work out all the kinks. I guess when you go live, you really see everything, but that's why we have a PTE, in my opinion, is really just try and get those major things out there and configured. We should have known there's bulletproof glass on these trucks in PTE, and that would have been just a quick fix. But product delivered.
Yeah, I go back to like, what was, I think it was either update 8, I want to say, where everybody had the limbs were like bulletproof,
Yeah.
Iron Man limbs, and
Yeah.
like like a hot fix was immediately needed. So if I go back to update 10, I don't know if we needed as much of the hot fix and things of that nature. Outside of the Stalingrad performance, that I think was a critical one, especially with how much promotion they had of Stalingrad and the Russian content and everything. Um, but I mean, I would be okay. Like, we got this patch now. I think I would be okay with another 4 to 6 weeks, maybe, to have something else out,
Mhm.
because right now we really haven't. We've heard the roadmap for 2020.
Shotguns.
I know. We shotgun watch 2021.
Hans wants his flammenwerfer.
Dude, they've been talking about that flamethrower has been on the roadmap ever since.
And that in itself is a conspiracy. I've heard numerous reasons as to why it hasn't been released, whether it's the animations or it's the actual sound effects or the effect on. Yeah, like, I don't know at this point with when we will ever get to see flames come out of a flammenwerfer, you know. Well, and again, it's always been a flammenwerfer. I don't know. I would imagine a flamethrower on the U.S. side would be the equivalent coming in there. I don't know if I've read. I can't say I have read that there will be a U.S. equivalent. So just bearing that in mind.
Do you think it's bad being headshot as an MG player? Wait till you're like just have this orange directional area that's just shoot back to me. But
yeah, well, come on, we gotta hear all those screams that the public put into that. So I mean, I think we're gonna hear just about every sound thrown out once that does go live. But let's go into the debrief 146. What else do we get here?
Yeah, 146 was and a lot of these debriefs have kind of been pretty light as they've acknowledged themselves. But 146, one gem I want to hit on is finally, we're going to get warfare mode for Omaha. And there's some great points on there. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it plays. I'm optimistic about it. I'm hoping that with warfare mode comes maybe a little bit of updating on Omaha also, especially those. Yeah. But especially those points where it's like you can't drive through the walls as a tank, like as compared to other maps.
Yeah, I mean, the updating's got to be there. I mean, we did it on a few, so hopefully those come through. It's just small fixes through there. I mean, that map's got a lot of barbed wire to get through as well. So I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. Is there going to be a point on the beach? I don't think so. I hope not.
Well, I mean, we kind of have points on the beach. I mean, yeah, that's going to be interesting what they do with that whole like cliffside and the headquarters being down. There's going to have to be some adjustments for it. But there's a lot of, especially like the church in the middle, the, what is it? Radar station down south. I forget exactly what that point's called. There's
radar station.
Is it radar station? Okay.
I think so.
I think that there's going to be some fun points on that. I'm really looking forward to another warfare map. They also talked about a couple other offensive modes. I think Foy and Carentan coming in. Nice if you like offensive mode. We really don't. So
yeah, unless I'm playing offense on offense, that's another one. But we've talked about that in depth, and I think our arguments still haven't been quite there. It's just not the full package when you're playing offensive. It's going to
be good for when you sets up for the campaign mode to have all those options available. But for right now, I think the big news is Omaha coming in. But that's about it. That's everything that's kind of coming from the developers. The patch 16. Some new maps, no specific date when. I think, if I had to say my gut, I'm thinking that we're probably going to see about another 4 to 6 weeks before we see anything minor. I don't think we're seeing anything major.
That's an Inchon guarantee, folks. 4 weeks. Here we go.
Always put those guarantees on me. Always put those guarantees.
Well, you're usually kind of close, so I think we can let it slide a little bit. But let's get into the competitive scene. In fact, most of you guys are joining us just finished out a nice scrimmage. It's competitive season. We're getting busy. Ourselves, we played a match with the lovely people down under and Heavy D Alliance. Like really enjoyed the competitive scene as of late. It's getting heated because we're getting into the seasonal session, but we just have a wrap up on the 18v18s. They were completed with 82nd AD beating their new allies in DC in a 2-1 victory that happened on the 12th. And then DC took the first match on Flak Pits, and then 82nd came back to win on Artillery Battery and Hospice. Oh, I love a good match on Hospice, don't you? And then you got to give credit where it's due to ARO, a new Chinese community, at least new to me, that took the third place finish in the 18v18. So that one was a really good tournament to watch. Really good gunplay. The squad tactics when you're in the 18v18 environment, it's just is the better shooter, who's moving with their squad to effectively control those points. So you got us in here with the HLL Premier League. What happened with that?
Yeah, so before we get into the Premier League hosted by BR1, I also want to give credit to the training camp for hosting the 18v18. Second year they've done it. It's an enjoyable format, especially for a lot of these smaller communities. But look out, like, if you got 36 of the best shooters in the format now on a 50-man team, that is going to be an interesting one to come to, which we'll get to in a bit. But you're right. BR1 and the HL Premier League kicked off. We're now in week 3. A lot of the same names that we've seen before, some of the newer ones. We talked about that last episode, went through the whole rundown there. As expected, we have 5 core and out of the European division still undefeated. And then you have BR1 and TL also on the American side still undefeated, but some good matches going on. Actually, Mosca just finished with his versus Storm, which you can talk about a little bit here. And then last minute, right after the episode, I told you I expect to see Exodus join one of these communities, and sure enough, they did. They actually hooked up with 20 PZG, had a little bit of a rough start as they had to forfeit their first match, but it's good to see Exodus into the competitive season. They've definitely
not new to them, so we're glad they're back in it and running back in with some strides. So that's good to see.
Yeah, so they will not be defending their seasonal crown, but they are in the Premier League, and I think that's a good move for them to work on that rebuild. 20th PCG, another good community, and I wish the best for them.
And then we've got in the other big side of things for competitive, the fall seasonal is hosted by WTH. Shout out to Heidegger, of course. We've got the final team in, and I mean, it's all lined up. War is in as the 16th team. We've got brackets released, and some items are as expected. So their top 4 seeding all are in line with our last episode as we predicted. I don't know. I think we're going to have another power ranking episode in here, but it held true for the most part, with Core taking the number 1 seed. We had him ranked second in the last episode. Again, it's a real toss-up. WTH Core, top 2 teams doing really good there. Ranks 5 to 9, about it as expected in that lineup. So CNUT is interesting. They're coming in here. That's the Chinese national team. They're coming in at the 14th seed, and it's going to be, well, could be an upset in the making. We'll see what happens there, but really excited to see that team get in there as well. So now we're branching across a lot of continents at this point in the fall seasonal. So should be a really good matchup all the way through.
Yeah, I think, every award, was it the Emmys that just happened? There's always the snubs, the kind of things. And to me, CNUT feels like a snub at 14th seed.
It should be some gas in their tank, if that was to me. I think they're coming in with some, something to prove. So we'll see how it pans out for them. Again, when we face them, really good shooters. Could surprise us. So
now, since our last episode, you and me have both been able to face off against WTH and Core.
And there's a lot of pain in there.
There's a lot of pain. I was gonna say I still don't know. I mean, Heidi and the fall seasonal team has Core ranked number 1. WTH as number 2, which is a great sign of respect as WTH puts on the tournament to say, hey, going into this, we view you guys as better. I'm still torn on which one is better, and I know we had like a whole 20-minute conversation with Dolph Dahlberg out there, but according to the fall seasonal, which kicks off this coming Saturday, October 2nd, these are the rankings, and it's gonna be intense. It's gonna be fun.
Oh, no doubt. I think it'll be really good matchups all the way through. Definitely something to watch. We'll have a lot of live streaming for the fall seasonal and the Premier League, I'm sure. So just stay tuned on that. And get to watching some games. Like, these are going to be impressive all the way around.
Indeed. Well, and since our last episode, which was a little clickbait. Maybe it was a little clickbait. Talking about we're going to rank people and whatever. But this is actually something that's awesome. And one reason why I love the HL community is Soxes from actually Core, which was previously part of the 91st, reached out and said, hey, I've been thinking about getting this ELO system, which is a ranking system used in chess. And implemented over here. I've got the math. I said, awesome. We're actually working something similar, putting these efforts together. And if you haven't seen it yet, join the ELL Discord. And essentially between all the different tournaments and all the individual friendly scrims, it's going to be a way to create kind of a ladder ranking system where tournament hosts or tournament admins can come in and see the full history. Individual communities can see a better kind of idea if they want to pump up or punch up a few levels, or maybe go for a little softer, who's challenging them, what that is going to be. And I think that's going to be something that really kind of, creates a common thread between all these tournaments and shows the progression of communities as they rise and fall, through the HLL journey, if you will. So that'll be down in the show notes. Definitely check that out. Credit to Soxes and the ELO team for doing that. I think that's going to be a great way to promote the competitive scene, organize a little bit more, and then we have maybe a little bit more fairer matchups as we get into these tournaments, and might even get a little hunger for some of those teams that want to move their way up a pecking order into top 10, top 5, those types.
Right.
So
right.
So it'll be good. But what's always good, Mosca.
It's a Mosca Minute, baby. We got to welcome in our friend from all the way across the ocean here, and we're glad to have him back. Mosca, how are you been?
I'm very well, very well. I'm a bit
You just won a match, didn't you?
Yes, I have won. I have won versus Storm Elite from Brazil.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So the Spaniards versus the Brazils, the Portuguese,
Portuguese, yeah,
Portuguese
versus the Spaniards.
We are friends, Portuguese and Spanish. We are quite well. Yep.
Good. Now, what did you play your recon, your spotter as always?
Yes. I have a spot a few tanks for my tankers, so all the Brazilian tanks have been destroyed.
they got their eyes on you. So
I am so happy.
So Mosca, it's been a while since you have been on the show. I know you've been busy doing your. For those that don't know, Mosca graces us with his hobby of doing this, but he's a professional illustrator, been working on that. But it's been a while since we've seen a cartoon for you, and I know you had a couple queued up. This one here, let's go ahead and show the draft of it. What was the story behind this one? Was the airhead inflatable spawn waves?
Okay, the airhead is a stupid idea. When I play HLL, I imagine parachutes with soldiers on the battlefield, but no, they throw a little box in the field. A lot of soldiers spam from the box. Yeah. So this is my idea about what is in the box. Yes.
Yep. So here's the draft version. You can see it just sketching it out. Final product right there. The inflatable spawn soldiers. And I love the commander just. And if you've ever blown up balloons for a kid's birthday party or something, you got your wife or significant other voluntold you for. I feel for this commander just. Gonna try and tie him up.
Bravo, Mosca, as always. That is just fantastic. I love that whole concept around from the commander blowing up the dolls in there. So you always grab the right point and moment, man. Airhead. Oh, that's just fantastic.
And I was gonna say, some of these guys are like blueberries, but now I don't know if I can get myself away that they're just those inflatable punching bags. Like the guys just spawn off the airhead and just somewhere there's an MG just smiling as this is about to happen.
Oh, MG and airhead is a perfect combo for me. Yes.
Indeed.
Well, Mosca, we have here in the chat, somebody's wondering if you actually sell your art. Is there a good link that we can do to support you?
I have no link for my art. Sorry.
He has no link. You'll have to contact him directly.
Yes, I don't know. I have too much work. I don't want commissions. I don't want anything. Sorry.
Yeah, we just get the.
I'm happy that I won this.
He just wants the Mosca Minute.
He just wants the Mosca Minute. Are you drinking? Are you drinking anything over there in Spain right now, or?
No.
You got a
I have to dinner. So no drinks. I want to eat something. A paella or sangria or gazpacho. Yes.
Gazpacho.
We only eat paella in Spain.
See, I would totally go with the sangria route. Yes. I'd be all about that. Like when we go out,
definitely warm enough for it out there, I'm sure.
My girlfriend wants to kill me.
Paella.
Paella.
That's a moment that all gamers can appreciate right there. Is like, hey, try to do this
Yeah, I
when the
know, I know.
girlfriend or wife walks in. What are you doing? I mean, okay, correct myself. So,
No
Mosca,
paella for me today.
did you tell her that you won a match though? A 50v50 competitive match against Brazil?
Yes,
She can let you slide with one.
I have to bye.
All right, take care, man. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mosca, as always.
Thank you.
Adios.
All right.
Adios.
All right. It's been too long since he had him on. The Mosca Minute is never just a minute.
That's a classic. I honestly bring that guy every show, man. He's fantastic. The airhead. I think that is just wonderful.
I just want like the MG just popping those little things. And it actually goes pretty well with the topic, because I remember when he was talking about it. You remember back in World War II, how in preparation for D-Day, there was all those inflatable tanks and everything.
The Ghost Division. Yeah, that was
exactly.
Significant decoys put up, to really mess with, the planning and the wargaming. So it was, I would say, successful. So I think it's a good touch on history.
So I think that's a good way to tie in. So let's go ahead and jump into this, and we're going to go through this a little bit, in
conspiracy time.
Yeah, conspiracy time. I don't got the tinfoil hat. I've got my my University of Nevada baseball cap on, representing a school that no one really cares about. But anyway, if you take the internet and you take a passionate fan base and put them together, it's only a matter of time before conspiracy theories start happening. And I thought, like, we were kind of talking about, do we even want to dive into this? We were having some fun, and once we started scratching the surface, there was so much stuff that we could just be like, that is so off the wall. Yeah, let's just go ahead and talk about it for a minute. So this is meant to have a little bit of fun with it. If you subscribe to these conspiracy theories about a video game, that's your once again, your girlfriend probably doesn't want to know about them. Yeah, we'll kind of play this here. So I'm going to be the conspiracy theorist for this remaining part of the episode. I'm going to be the guy that just believes crazy stuff.
He's over the edge. He's in the fringes.
I'm over the edge.
Inchon is just playing who he is in real life. So we are going deep into it. And we pulled a lot of stuff out of all these Discord channels, and it was like, oh my God, there's so much there that we didn't think. And now, here we are with a full show of conspiracies. So let her rip. What's our conspiracy theory?
Digi's going to be the logical mind on this one. So.
I'll try. How far you take me over? I don't have alcohol in front of me, so
that's why you skipped out on the toast.
I'll have to stabilize a little bit.
Look at this. So this is I didn't get this into the fridge here, but this is actually my Oktoberfest. My local bar had this, a liter of beer with the full-on Oktoberfest mug. That's happening on next show.
Some brow, nice.
If not before then. But anyway. All right, so when you kind of look at all the conspiracy theories, it's really, I think you can boil it down to two main ones here. And the first one is Black Matter's a villain, first and foremost. They're a villain, and they've done this bait and switch type of deal. You had this original Kickstarter, and they're just exploiting the masses, and they're exploiting people just what they needed to hear in order to get the money happening, and with a hardcore experience and everything else. And then we're slowly, bit by bit, going more and more to the casuals. And we have this and the console was the final destination and everything. So, and they've reached out to Team 17 to accelerate some of that. So that's kind of like one overarching conspiracy theory. The second one is really Team 17 is a villain. Team 17 has taken advantage of Black Matter. And, and to some parts, Max has talked about their runway with their cash and how, a lot of decisions were made to keep Black Matter employees employed, to their credit. But I'm not that guy. I'm the villain. So, that Team 17 came in and they're just strong-arming Black Matter, and they're the ones pushing away from this hardcore roots and going out to bigger markets and everything. And Team 17 is leveraging, as I got here, $1 billion market capitalization on a small, Black Matter development, and they're the ones pushing these favorable media outlets, and you can't trust them, blah, blah, blah. So here's some supporting evidence to kind of those two on there. Team 17, first off, is known for games like Worms and friendly mannered games.
Fun if you played them.
Yeah, fun if you played them. I would have a Candy Crush. No problem if the Candy Crush developer came in.
It's in that realm, yes. So
yeah, but now all of a sudden, Golf with Friends is Team 17. Golf with Friends does not care about time to kill like a first-person shooter. So why the hell did Team 17 get into a tactical shooter like HL? They're also getting into Ready or Not, which kind of goes completely against their DNA. That just sounds suspicious to me. I should have actually had my soundboard like
okay, Agent Mulder. Look at it this way: Team 17, it's just a publisher. I mean, they're doing what they're doing. I gotta say, anybody with the know-how and does the research is gonna see that uptick in tactical shooting trends. Like, I mean, they wanted to branch out into that market, fill their boots. If you're writing children's book and all of a sudden you have this urge to go up into a teen level writing, who cares? As long as the content is where it's at, I mean, nobody's going to argue one way or the other. I mean, it's really just a publisher selling something that's new for them. So what? I mean, even so, we've seen the current player pop trend up every single update. So obviously their guess was right by going this one. The case in point is just another example. Recently, Tiny Build, which is primarily a family-friendly dev publisher group. And they're known for like Hello Neighbor. I've never played it.
My 6-year-old loves Hello Neighbor.
Yeah, so there you go. There's the context. 6-year-old. They recently bought Bad Pixel, and you can hear them. They're notable for their game Dead Side. That's a huge game, and that brought financial stability, and they still assured creative freedoms to these guys to make their games at that. And I think that's something that Black Matter publicly stated that they have, even with pairing up with Team 17. So it's just a publisher.
Okay. So I hear you, Digi. I hear you. God, this is actually fun to be kind of the mean guy. So this is gonna be Inchon's favorite episode.
All right.
So I hear you. But if you go back to the dev briefs before Team 17 was involved, Black Matter was definitely much more communicative and communicative. And now it kind of feels like Team 17 is maybe controlling more of it, not letting Black Matter speak as much as they want to, and kind of suppressing the freedom of speech, which as a God-given American, I hate that. I hate it.
Yeah.
So what do you got to say to that?
Mr. Big Tennessee over here. Yeah. As the game and the team grows, like Max stated in his last interview, they're up to 70 people. That's a lot of growth in a short amount of time. I think it's just natural to have less time for those lengthy discussions with your player base. It's still not like you can't have a conversation, but I think there's a lot going, and there's a lot of interconnecting parts that, like are working on this game. And it's like, me and my personal work, like I can't start and stop on something and do this and do that. You really have to have rhythm and flow to it. So like devs like Jambax, Danny, Gretson, they've all had really frequent conversations with players on the Discord. Most of those players often come back dissatisfied, but with their answers. And I mean, they're always going to continue to push. I mean, players are always going to continue to push what they think, and they're never going to be wrong. It's the customer's always right mentality, right? So I think it's like you can't go to just being extortion, as a player base that, not every question you have has that 100% answer. You might get part way because there might not be wanting to leak all those little secrets that they're working on this and they don't want to spoil it. I mean, some people have gotten to the point of threatening to DDoS the system and servers to protest the state of the game. I mean, they really took a step back. They took a step back.
If there's one thing that should have been DDoS, it's this shiny OP bullshit. Okay,
yeah.
Type deal. I mean, I think this is just an anecdotal story. Once again, this is not the real Inchon. This is Evil Inchon. This is just an anecdotal story of an example of how feedback is just lip service. That the community overwhelmingly came out, united, public, competitive. Hell, even if we had console players at the time, I think they would have came back. And they didn't change the shiny OP. Like, what the hell?
Well, I mean, it's just reading, parsing and summarizing a bunch of feedback. I mean, that's posted daily in a large volume on various channels I mean, it's worthy of a full-time job for somebody, and I'm sure they have somebody that does that. Maybe. I'm pretty sure that they have somebody that goes through that and lengthy. But I mean, it's also you're reviewing this feedback, not necessarily always agreeing with it. I mean, the customer is not always right when you have a vision, you have a direction that you know is going to be, you know, what you're trying to strive through at the end. I mean, those decisions will get made whether we wanted them to or not. And then there's still going to be a point and a counterbalance where the consumer's like, I didn't really like that. And maybe they have a slight tweak that comes through it. But I think their overall passion and direction is decided by them, the devs. Like, I really think the feedback on individual issues might not make a cohesive whole when combined together. So they really they're trying to get those big chunks out there.
Well, and speaking of big chunks, I think it's, you know, a perfect example of a bait and switch, because you had this rush to kind of get to like what I would consider like update 7, and everything was going good. And then round 8, you know, we got the I think it was the finance department released an outlook and talking about how it's coming out on consoles. And since then, it's really been, from my conspiracy, you know, perspective, that the design choices continuously be made for console port, or you could say for mainly console, and let the PC players go by, which buys right in to the bait and switch. What do you guys say about that?
Man, like, it's just another market, console market in itself. Like, it's really lacking that tactical shooter games available. So I think Black Matter and Team 17 is like, just fill this niche. I mean, it's there. I really think they just wanted to cover that ground and be the first to cover it, because you know how that works. I mean, you're first to build that computer, you're probably got to be the first to sell a large computer on a big scale. So I think jumping in there early is going to benefit them, because then they can do their tweaks before some rival might come in with another tactical shooter, modify it. You know, any of the big players, this is really smart for a smaller developing team to really jump into this market early, get all the kinks out before those major money players come in and try and overload it. Right? If it does well, it's a good one to hedge your bets on. I think that it was a smart move to move into the consoles for this game. It might cover some good ground for them. And
they might be breaking into the market with this first like mil-sim console shooter, but ones they're not breaking into is a freaking paid DLC. Okay, and they're coming in here. You know, this was a Kickstarter, nothing really came out, and now they're saying that, you know, we've got some paid DLCs with the update, and like it just goes again. So now, are we going to have content behind paid walls? If you read the way that a conspiracy theorist reads, that is definitely coming to us, you know. And now it's just Black Matter and Team 17 are just milking the cash cow, regardless of how it comes in. And you could see this in the public games. You don't see level 200s and hundreds before. You see level 10s, 20s, and people leaving. They're just trying to get that new buck and squeeze as much money out of each player as they can.
Well, let's be realistic. Again, we go back to it. It's publisher, it's a developer. They're in it to make some money and love what they're doing at the same time. So, I mean, what they're looking at is this long-term support. Your game has to continue to progress, because we only just recently got out of alpha. It's a new game. They're still trying to make money. I mean, they had that Kickstarter that got the ball started down the hill, but it was a long hill to get down until we're at that release point. So, I mean, they're looking at it this way. It's non-paid to win. Microtransactions have been proven to be non-invasive additional cash flow. Like, I mean, we got a new hat. Like, no, nothing's been locked into like different weapons, different tanks, different this or that. It's all the same metric that actually, you know, wins the battles. It's just you look different doing it.
But when they do, I told you so.
All right, when they do, you can tell me just that. I mean, I don't see it coming, because that would kill the game. I'll lose interest. I honestly, I can't stand behind a pay to win platform. I don't think it's gonna be a pay to look, you know, and just the apparel and customization on that. The history nerds will love it, so on and so forth. But sales are important at keeping this game afloat. Let's just be rational to it. It's really replacing that player attrition. I mean, you get the old people come out or they stay ready, but you got to have a constant influx of new people coming in, because nobody wants to get that title on their game of it's a dead game. That's the ultimate like nail. Just it's a dead game. that will not inspire anybody to pick up said game until it's like $5 on Steam, like like that's at the point. I remember we played like Black Sails or something when it was $1.
Don't make Conspiracy Inchon laugh. Don't make me laugh about Black Sails.
It spiked for like 3 weeks, but it was $1 a game. But that, that's all I could do to drive it. It had to be that. We're not there yet. We're not there at all. And I don't see this game and its current progression being there for some time. So maybe down that line. But again, the complementary source to this way of thinking, there's a great book by Jason Schreier. It's called Press Reset, and it is about the harsh realities of game development, and they are tough. I'm not a game developer, but I've seen people write in Python. I was like, whoa, that's a whole different language, because it is. And it's marked by studio closures and non-existent job security. Like, it's a great book. And case in time again, like, it's got to continue to happen. So we got to have cash.
I don't break character. I don't think let's step away from this. If I told my wife that I'm risking my family's livelihood, my wife and 2 kids and the mortgage to go into the game development business, I think there would be divorce papers filed within weeks. So that's again. Okay, back to character. Man, it's exhausting being this angry. I don't think I could be this angry for
it's a tightrope, and that's not you.
Yeah, I was gonna say but this was part of the fun. We had the pre-show. It's gonna be Evil Inchon. Evil Inchon. Okay. So Digi.
Compose. Yeah.
You see all this and you talk about the new players coming in, and the only way that we can even help to retain some of these new players is that design decisions need to be made to the lowest common denominator as far as IQ. It's dumbed down gameplay from what we had before. Now we got pings and map markers and sounds. I mean, granted, the headshot thing is a great thing, but now when you hit someone, when you don't hit somebody. It's just we're just catering to the casual Call of Duty player.
Ooh, Call of Duty player. Oh man, hey, you're gonna get a knock on your door with those kind of words. I think it's like a lot of the game's features are designed to augment the shortcomings of the medium. The game itself, like, you can only do so much in the game. You can do a lot, but it's still, you're playing through this medium, WASD and your mouse and now controller. Like, again, there's only so much you could do. You can't like left, right, up, down, to do some special combo. Like, it's in the real time situation. Like, you got to keep it streamlined. You got to keep it flowing. I think there's language differences as well that kind of come into this. Like, again, this is an international game. Additionally, in the counterintuitive way, the flow of information creates another layer of this complexity and adds to the skill ceiling. Like, again, you can do a lot with what's currently there. I mean, there's a lot of good players. You see it day in, day out on these competitive matches. Hell, the people with 30 KDs, like, that's not me, but I mean, they're making the most of what's there, and you still see like a majority. I laughed at a post on the Reddit the other day, is like only like 30% have unlocked that got a kill and hell let loose. Mind you, that is still including a bunch of players before the updates and whatever. But
see, I told you.
It's still like argumentative. Like, there's good players that can get the concept, but there's still a lot of people still trying to get up there. Like, nobody's all at the top. Like, there's always going to be a skill bracket with the skills available to them.
And I think just further showing how they've dumbed down the game. They talk all about this, the tank overhaul, the armor overhaul. It's coming. And then we get it, and it's dumbed down to light, medium, heavy, and just get the first shot over there. Yes, they made everything consistent because it's easier for the sheeple, right? That's it, the sheep people.
People.
Yeah, but it doesn't have depth, to like mobility and drive. Like, it's just, it's clear that they're not making this as a hardcore tactical shooter like they said they were going to.
Yeah, well, I mean, the devs are also on record saying that as more tanks get introduced, they will be continuously rebalancing and reevaluated. Like, i.e., the heavy tank is just, there's so many of them right now. That has got to change. So we're all hoping. And that's just time, and it's progressing. Like, again, they hit to those like really simplistic models of like, okay, make armor more simple. Well, you can expand once you come from a place that's like, it's solid. We need to get somewhere solid, because tanking's always been, whoa, you never knew what was going to happen with it because there was just so many inconsistencies. And you're trying to find that constant and then we can start to see that branch out.
where-
And then you see the diversification in the different tanks and how they're going to be played. You might see it. Like, again, I, for one, I'm not a tanker. I will never say I am. And I get a lot of people sending me a message about what you're saying about tanking doesn't make any sense. And I agree. I can appreciate some of the simplification from my perspective if I do hop in a tank, but it does like it's more like, hey, here's a welcoming into it. I still see it changing, but they got to get somewhere like solid to stand on, because it always felt like quicksand whenever I got in a tank. Like I'd either have like a blowout round or I'd get nuked like straight all the way for 130 minutes. So just bring some consistency.
I don't know if you knew this, but Evil Inchon is a tanker. 100% tanker.
Oh God.
Evil Inchon only drives tanks.
Yeah.
On Foy or Kursk.
Oh yeah, you're probably the tanker that gets stuck in Purple Heart Lane's river. The only one that you can drown in.
Yeah. All right. But even with tanks and everything, I mean, the fanboys of HLL continuously point to that. Well, the TTK is really, like a hardcore that makes it, and it's just this illusion of complexity to fool people coming straight from something else. But if you actually look at what a hardcore game is, this isn't it. Isn't it? There's a lot of design choices that have just like safeguard, don't allow people to make too big of a mistake. You can't, when they change friendly fire to where you can't one hit your own guy, you can't accidentally shoot your own Sherman if you're an American. I mean, it's just all these little like child locks and baby proofing the battlefield for the casual player.
Baby proofing the battlefield. I feel like you need to get a t-shirt with that written on it.
We can get back Mosca. Could that be the next cartoon?
Just put some bumpers on everything, call it good. My counterpoint to that is ultimately it's just a matter of perspective. I mean, it might be entry level when it comes to games of a similar genre, but it has enough complexity to require a few hundred hours to really master. Like, again, every game, there's one thing that somebody's asking a question about in command chat or your squad, and you're like, oh, how didn't you know? And it's like, oh, yeah, the guy who's got 1,600 hours is a little different than the guy that picked it up and only has about 30 hours in his belt. So, I mean, you don't want to make it too punishing, or you're really just going to diminish those new people coming in, because, like, then it's almost experience to win as usual, but it's just like that weight on their shoulders just got so much heavier that, I mean, the learning curve will never break out of it comfortably. Well, I'd say majority will drop it before they decide, and they're like, this is too tough, I'm not gonna. So, I mean, again, there's got to be tryhards, there's got to be the know-alls, but there's still got to be a bunch of rookies coming in trying to play the game, learn from it. So we can have a less punishing gameplay to foster a more friendly community. Think of it that way.
And you got these rookies now coming into the commander role, and we all know the commander role has been dummied down once again. Now you can have abundant resources, and you're only like, you can basically just click whatever buttons you want, regardless of there. And it's just this whole like RTS in comparison to an on top of an FPS just hasn't materialized. The commander role has not progressed in a meaningful way. They're even if you look at the recent trailers for the game, it doesn't show the core of what the Kickstarter was. It's action. It's Kursk, a windmill on fire. It's a Call of Duty or Battlefield trailer. What do you have to say to that, Digi? I kind of like this.
I'm sure you are. Again, a lot of data and feedback have been provided throughout the early access that have provided intel on how different concepts work, or they don't. We're still, like, again, just got out of alpha. We're a lot further along than we used to be. I mean, I remember that the days were running to a point and not taking a truck. And remember when that was the meta, you're in the truck, yes. But now you get that, some people that know how to scout on a light tank track and, use that advantage to kill those trucks. So, I mean, it's always a counterbalancing act trying to be involved with it. I mean, it's asymmetrical resource generation not working, and it's providing a compounding effect to those steamrolls. So again, you got to have a chance for the team to come back from the last point. Now it's possible, because I remember back in the day where, oh God, was it update 7 where you'd lose all your nodes, just gone. Now you can build them in the opening HQ area and they won't be lost. So Yes, it needs more work. I agree with you on that, but it's still in its infancy. Mind you, it's a framework right now. They know they want nodes. They know they want resources in this game. We're going to have to tweak the hell out of it. I think they're getting to a point where, again, the commander's role is still unique. Like, there's so many options to click through. There's a lot more buttons now, but if you don't do the right sequence, or you mistime it, or you just waste that bombing run that you should have saved for the final moment to make that actual push work, again, I still think there's some real time strategy elements that takes a bit of time to master, play that commander role out. But yeah, the resource nodes, it's infancy. It's being worked on.
Being worked on. Talk about resource nodes being taken away. That brings out Evil Digi.
Well, the rolling. We can't just live in that constant where you're gonna get steamrolled once you lose the second to last point. Because at that point, I mean, most people just have the mindset like, we'll just not spawn in and just let them take it, and then we'll start a new game. Like, you got to get rid of that feeling.
Speaking of new game, did you know, and this is an ironclad here, that prior to 1.0, the official HL Discord was just one group, and now it's actually split into two separate groups here. This is actually not a conspiracy theory. This is real.
Not a conspiracy. This is facts. Yes.
This is facts.
I'm not disagreeing.
So now new people joining have their own feedback channel, their little, softer, gentler feedback without being tainted by the people that rode the journey before early access and have our own concerns and our own things. And this is just another way that the man suppresses the voice of the people.
Oh my God. Well, you've spent some time in there. It could be so toxic. It's just a cesspool where things get very obnoxious very quickly. It's just a risk to those new players coming in, getting brigaded with all those jaded veterans. And they're like, well, is this the community I'm about to step into? I'm trying to reach out. I'm going into the official Discord. Why am I getting bullied all of a sudden? Like, again, you get in there and somebody says, you don't know how broken this game is yet. It's like, that notion will carry with that new player. And what, again, I'm a firm believer positivity brings positive outcomes. Where all you're seeing is a negative. It's walking in the rain, man. Like, who's going to want to continue to do that if they're just getting like downtrodden? Any question they have is just getting berated with like, oh, you should know this, or that never work, or like, again, you got to see both sides of the coin. That's the only way this really works. And I think the whole feedback is valuable, but you got to be constructive about it. You can't just belittle and berate and just downplay these new players coming in. They might have a good concept that comes out, or they might just be shit, but you really got to wade through it, and you can't just have everything just so overloaded one direction. It's balance. Well, can't have so much tainting in the milk. Like, again, it just
and I think this really
poison the well,
I think this really goes back to the devs not acknowledging the issues with the game and the meta, and they'll go ahead and take silence or dangle the new content or what's coming instead of fixing basic issues with the game and fixing the meta. And if they do come out and say it, they say that's an intended design choice. That's just bullshit to me. God, this is really exhausting me, this angry. Okay, so and if you want to go further back, talk about the devs being suppressed, okay? Jono used to all the way come in and talk, and now he hasn't even been involved in multiple dev briefs. Content of briefs gone down. Coincidence? I think not. But the game has flopped and just completely pushed away the PC, or the game has flopped over to console, pushed away from it. We can't talk to the guys that led us here, and therefore you have a bait and switch case.
You like to say bait and switch, don't you?
I do. It's my tinfoil hat thing. And the man.
Yeah, I will be honest in saying I think the devs committing to a weekly dev brief is a little bit unsustainable at that pace, and every information was changing. It used to be pretty common. You'd see those updates weekly. Yeah, it's a lot to ask. Like, again, there's a lot of moving parts, and I guess it's just trying to wrap it all together in a nice just way to have that discussion every time. But it really just gives that steady pulse of development and reassures the player base that the game has not been abandoned. I think that was a really benefit to having those weekly updates. It's a real sentiment. It just frequently pops up in other gaming communities when the devs are radio silent. I can't say that about this game. The devs are not silent in this game. I mean, they're really trying to get in there as they can, but again, not skew their vision and direction at the same time. Like, again, input and a balance makes sense. Like, you have to have it be equitable. Like, it can't be all this and it can't be all that at the same point, where discussing those undercooked ideas, it's already faced backlash in the past, like, i.e. the additional scoring system for comp. Maybe it's time to change the pace of those dev briefs, I think, and just really kind of spread them out, get viable content out there on a timely basis. Like, I like the weekly, maybe it's bi-weekly, maybe it's, I don't want anything beyond months though. Like, we can't stretch that beyond that. Like, we're still not quite there. I think the stream still needs to continue to flow with that information.
And I'm done. That's all I did. That's all I got. I was gonna say, why it's fun, man. That's exhausting being Evil Inchon.
That's all he's got.
I do have to say, if you're listening to this at home or you're in chat, let's go ahead and give a hand up to Digi for playing moderator.
I felt the heat. I mean, I'm just trying to go with what we're seeing here. But again, we wrote these ones together. He decided to be the Evil Inchon, so like gave me the benefit of the doubt. But one thing I did want to cover is that, like, that shift in the marketing, though. Your next point was going to be shift in marketing in the original EA, being communication and trailers early on, and now it's really shifted to only action and aimed to create the hype. I think it just ties back what we were saying earlier. Trailers themselves are just commercials, but again, we got to get that newer base of people coming in. It's got to grab that attention. I mean, I think at any point, gameplay is most important when making that purchase. But the focus should be placed rather on people that create the HLL content, make sure that they present the game how it's supposed to be played, but there's limited influence over other creators. So, like, again, we do the show out of passion for the community. I think as long as there's desire from people like, that want to put those content and the media out there, Bill, make another video, damn you. I think this game will always thrive as long as it has that supporting cast of those content creators just trying to pump stuff out. Again, trailers are just commercials. We need new people. But I think when you lay it out here and we have shows like this that are talking about stuff, the game in itself it's still vibing. Like, there's still like a buzz and a heartbeat to it. When we have people that can talk about it. So that's all I got.
I was gonna say you did a great job. But what there's also is going to take away from this conversation is Digi is not going to let Inchon have all the show ideas going forward. So, but let's give credit to a lot of our research. The guy that stood and collected all of this, Sunseeker. You really appreciate the notes on this one. It was
guys crushing it.
Fun to be Evil Inchon for a little while.
It was fun to be Evil Inchon. How do you think he was trying to find all this information to talk about?
He's just walking out of the supporter vessel.
Yeah, he's probably was wearing a tinfoil hat when he left there. Just all that stuff he had to read.
Yeah. I was gonna say I might be off the Christmas card list of Black Matter, but so be it. Hopefully, as going through this, probably some of these things maybe hit a chord with you guys. Maybe you're thinking about this. Hopefully, we presented kind of both sides a little bit, pros and cons, or equitably on there. Ultimately, I think this comes down to being this good of a community. There's almost a relationship that you have with your development team, and granted, we're not talking about every day, but it's a relationship that has a lot of faith and built on trust. And like all good relationships, either gaming or in real life, they don't always stay the same. And the question's whether that relationship grows together or grows apart. So if it's growing apart for you and you subscribe to some of these thoughts and these are game breaking for you, I can understand. It's human nature. If you're kind of on the fence, take a breath. Maybe we talked about all the competitive games going on. Try something different. Get in the community. Try to have a little bit more fun with this game. I will say the best part of this is the community. And at the end of the day, I always ask everybody, because every now and then, Digi, I'm sure you get it too. You're a fanboy and blah blah blah. I always ask everybody, did you get your money's worth out of the game? Of all the games that you've purchased in your Steam library, over all the items that you've purchased for $20, dirty secret, I got this game for $16 off of cdkeys.com.
Oh boy.
So
Hey,
$16.
you're definitely not getting that Christmas card. Not
Yeah.
that we were going to. This independent review here. Again, well said, Inchon. It's the community that makes us want to play this game. It's what keeps me around. But I'll know when that moment is up, because I mean everything's fleeting at the time we all die, and you'll have that experience where you're like, that's just too far, and at that point you step back, you find a new realization. So be it. I'm looking forward to seeing where this comes, because best bang for the buck I've spent in a long time. I'm still getting a lot of kick out of it. I'm still happy to support the devs with those buy customizable apparel, because again, you spent $16. I was like 25 Canadian. So like, again, it wasn't that much to me at the time when you got in early. So seeing where it's come from to me is all been enjoyable. I'm looking forward to where they're going.
Indeed. So I think that about wraps up the episode. This is going to be one of the first episodes in a while we haven't squeezed, 3 hours of content into an hour and a half of show. So I hope you have fun with it. Next episode, they're going to be coming here in 2 weeks, minus any Inchon technical issues. Digi's nice enough to say it's me, it's Inchon issues. Evil Inchon and Cheetos.
Evil Inchon, yes.
I was gonna say, I don't know if you want to chat, like Evil Inchon should have a goatee. I was gonna say if I could quickly grow one, maybe next time you should do you could have the beard shaved down a little bit. Can you grow some handlebar mustache? Did you?
Oh boy, you're asking a lot right now. All right, on that note, take care. Thanks for joining us on this week of Hell Let's Talk, and see you on the battlefield.